Something unimaginable just happened. Bigme has created a mini e-ink monster that's capable of reaching 80 frames per second. It's absolutely crazy, something that was impossible until recently. But does it look as fast as a conventional screen? In this video, I'll show you if this hyper-powered e-ink screen from Bigme really looks the same as the screen you're watching this video on right now. At least in terms of speed, since what's truly amazing is that they've managed to achieve this with typical e-ink technology. As you know, it works very differently from a conventional screen, and its main advantage is protecting your eyes from eye strain. But you're already watching the unboxing of this Bigme B7 Pro. This is the black and white version, which I honestly prefer. Also, with the included case, you can already see it in blue. There are different colors. I'll show them to you along with the price later. And, well, here is this Bigme. You can see that it comes with everything, warranties, manuals, etc. Some tweezers and an extra tip, as well as a little pin, USB-C to USB-A cable. And here is the pin with the included eraser. It doesn't have any other buttons, and I like that. It's completely free of side buttons. However, the texture is a bit glossy. I would have preferred it to be a little rougher. And now, here it is, in all its glory, the new Bigme B7 Pro. With this update, its speed goes up to 80 frames per second. And you're looking at the design made of glass and metal. It's 5.8 millimeters thick and weighs 215 grams. That means there are current smartphones that are quite a bit heavier than this Bigme tablet. The double page turn button is extremely configurable and customizable, and it also has good button travel. The camera is flush with the glass on the back. Now let's look at the ports. USB Type-C, an RGB LED, a speaker. By the way, the entire frame is made of metal. On the other side, there's a microphone. And this card slot, check this out, you can insert a SIM card and a micro SD card of up to 2 TB. Considering that it has 256 GB of internal storage, we're talking about the most powerful 7-inch e-ink tablet with the most storage currently on the market. And on the other side, there's nothing. And finally, here's the microphone and the power button. I would have liked it to have an integrated fingerprint sensor. But anyway, the travel's good. Here you can see a comparison with my hand so you can get a rough idea of its size. And now, let's move on to this little beast that's capable of achieving something that until recently was impossible with this kind of e-ink technology. I've been testing it for a few weeks and it's really impressive. Look at the reflections here. Compared to a regular phone, in this case an iPhone 17 Pro Max, this kind of e-ink screen does an excellent job with reflections. You can see it for yourselves. However, when it comes to, for example, scrolling, when this feature is activated, the 80 frames per second mode, I'll tell you later how to activate it. You can see that it's very similar in terms of speed to an iPhone 17 Pro Max. However, it does get quite smudged, although there are tricks to refresh the screen. You can see it here by swiping up from the bottom right. And when it comes to watching videos, as you can see, they look almost the same. This, I insist, is absolutely crazy for this type of e-ink technology, which works very differently from any kind of screen, whether it's OLED, IPS, etc. Of course, it'll be in black and white. There is actually another option in color, which will look like a kind of Harry Potter newspaper. And the good thing about this type of e-ink screen is that it doesn't tire your eyes as much. That's why personally I love them. And let's say they're better for eye health. And this came through an update. And that's because more Bigme devices, especially the Pro models, like this smartphone, have been updated with a mode that runs at 80 frames per second. And that's something I also like, that Bigme doesn't abandon its customers. And it keeps updating its devices constantly. And something I didn't like is the grip of the pen. You can already tell it has poor grip, weak magnetism, and the video shows this. Hopefully, future updates will fix it. Still, it's a passive pen. When moving around the interface of this Bigme B7 Pro, you can see that everything is very fast. I insist, with the hardware it has, it's absolutely amazing. And you already know that these screens don't need light. Even so, if you want to read at night, you'll have both cool and warm light. Later, you'll see a comparison with another device to see how well it lights up. Look at this row of control buttons. They're touch sensitive and extremely customizable. They not only perform the labeled function, but you can also choose another one easily. However, the downside of this button row is you might press one while turning a page or just by accident. And honestly, at this point, if you have big hands like I do, you'll see that you make mistakes more than once. But how do you get those 80 frames per second? Well, you're seeing it now. It has the default function set to Ink Center, as well as the comic, magazine, or video functions. But if you go to custom, here you can see the HD, Regal, Normal, Extreme, and Hyper modes. Further down, it explains what each one is for, by the way. And in Hyper mode is where you get the 80 frames per second. Also, you can choose the screen effect. If you're going to watch videos, I recommend turning on anti-shake and setting cleaning to always. And this is where the device really flies. Also, for watching videos, you'll see it now. It's absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And I really love seeing how this technology has evolved, getting faster and faster. And honestly, Bigme has truly done an amazing job here. You already know that these screens work very differently using small impulses. They're micro ink particles that move around. So it's quite an achievement for those of you who like e-ink screens. By the way, you should know that it also has a dark mode, although it's in quotes, meaning it can be activated by inverting the temperatures, and honestly, it looks pretty good with this 7-inch panel with Carta 1300 technology at 300 pixels. That's interesting in raw. It doesn't have double tap to wake, but Bigme has included a double tap to lock, and honestly, it works pretty well. And speaking of working pretty well, check out how everyday apps like Instagram run. Reading it here on this screen is like reading it in a kind of moving monochrome ink newspaper, which is dynamic. And with these 80 frames per second, it feels really good, for example, to browse Instagram. It's definitely something interesting. And even for playing games, once again, it's not on the level of a smartphone or a tablet due to pure technology. This is just physics. But it's the best e-ink screen for gaming that I've tried. And that's absolutely true. Let me take this chance to let you hear how this Bigme P7 speaker sounds. And as for the battery, it includes a 3000 mAh battery and has some battery management features. I would have liked them to include, for example, an option to limit the battery to 80%. Hopefully this will appear in future updates. If you use dynamic mode often for watching video, especially hyper mode, the battery lasts 2-3 days. If you mostly use it for reading in airplane mode, it can last over 10 days or nearly 2 weeks without issues. It comes with stock Android 14, a Dimensity 1080 processor. In this case, we're talking about an octa-core, 8 GB of RAM, and 2 GB and YGB of internal storage. I insist, this is the most powerful monochrome color e-ink tablet currently on the market with these dimensions. And let's move on to the rear camera. A camera flush with the back glass featuring 5 megapixels and artificial intelligence. It's mainly designed for reading documents, translating them, and using AI. As you can see, it's pretty basic. It only has a flash and HDR. And as for the results, well, I won't waste much of your time here because as you can see, they're nothing to write home about. I insist, it's definitely designed for reading documents and photographing text. But if you buy this Bigme V7 Pro, it's definitely for its ability to read and write, to take notes with the Paint app that's included completely free. And as for writing, the feeling is good. It's pretty fast, but the surface is very smooth. It's nothing like other devices I've tried here, like the Remarkable, which have screens that are porous and feel like paper. But when it comes to the software, it's amazing. It's very complete. You have different colors, different templates, and also different sizes. Honestly, it's one of the most complete ones. You won't miss anything here. You also have pencils, fountain pens, ballpoints, and highlighters. However, I didn't like that in some parts it's still in Chinese. I hope they update this soon and add Spanish as well. As you can see, it also has several colors. And if you export the documents, the colors will be visible. Obviously, this is a monochrome screen, which means it's black and white. The pressure sensitivity levels are also good. However, it lacks features like shading. But I like that. For example, it does have the option to create shapes by holding the pen when you've drawn, for example, a triangle, a square, a circle, etc. And when it comes to reading, the good thing about having the full Play Store is that you can download, for example, the Kindle app and have all your Kindle books. However, in the native reading app from Bigme, you'll be able to annotate the text, and it supports many more formats. You can even, for example, translate in real time by drawing a circle, for instance. I insist Bigme's native software is very complete for both reading and writing. When it comes to the lights, as you can see, on the right is the cheapest Bigme I've tested on this channel. And on the left, the one you're seeing, the B7 Pro. The white lights on the B7 Pro are whiter. However, the warm light on the one on the right is warmer than the B7 Pro. And when it comes to the minimum light, the one that can go lower is the cheapest Bigme tablet. That's why I've tested all of them on this channel. You have all the reviews available not just for this brand, but for all kinds of e-ink devices. If you like this kind of technology, without a doubt, this is your channel. And now, let's talk about the price of this Bigme B7 Pro. How much does it cost? Well, as you can see, 291.95 euros. You can choose from several case colors, which come for free just like the pen. For this price and with this power, there's no Kindle that can match it. I'll leave the purchase link below in the video description. The most versatile thing for me, the most important, is that it runs Android, and you can download any app and view it on this screen, which greatly reduces any kind of eye strain. The conclusion I draw from this video is that Bigme is doing things very well. 80 frames per second was something unthinkable. And with this new update from Bigme, an update that has been rolled out to all their Pro models, you'll be able to have it on a screen, whether it's monochrome or color e-ink that lets you read or watch content for many more hours without causing any discomfort to your eyes. And now, go ahead and share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a like so I can keep testing this amazing e-ink technology, which is getting faster and faster in wonderful places like the ones you always see in my videos, for you and because of you. See you in the next one. Take care, and see you soon.